I'm finally being seen. A young woman had entered the showroom and was quietly recording the scene with her own phone. Two more customers stood near the entrance, watching with interest. The other salespeople tried to look busy but kept glancing over at the unfolding situation. Mr. Bennett loosened his tie slightly. Of course, you're absolutely right. Let's look at the E-Class you're interested in. He walked toward the silver car, the shoes clicking against the polished floor. This is one of our most popular models, however, he added. Unable to help himself, we do have some excellent C-Class options that many of our older customers prefer. Darth's expression remained calm, but her eyes flickered with disappointment. Mr. Bennett, she interrupted, I'm beginning to wonder if you're actually listening to me. Let me be very clear. I have the fun and credit to purchase any car in this showroom. The reason I chose the E-Class is not because of what other people prefer. I chose it because I researched every model extensively and determined this was the best fit for my needs. She opened her folder again, pulling out detailed printouts of the car's specifications. The E-Class offers superior comfort with its air suspension system, which will be helpful for my weekly drives to visit my grandchildren. The advanced safety features are exactly what I need for both and highway driving, and the trunk space is perfect for transporting supplies to the community center where I volunteer. Mr. Bennett's face showed surprise at her detailed knowledge. Dorothy continued, now would you like to discuss actual numbers, or should I continue my car search at another dealership, one that might be more interested in making a sale than making assumptions? The young woman who had been recording spoke up from nearby. Excuse me, but are you really Miss Dolores Hernandez, the teacher from Lincoln High? When Dorothy nodded, the woman smiled broadly. You taught my mother. She always talks about how you changed her life. She's a mathematics professor now at the state university. This information seemed to hit Mr. Bennett like a physical force. His face piled slightly as he realized the situation was growing more complicated by the minute. Not only was he dealing with a well-prepared customer with money to spend, but she was also someone with deep connections in the community. Miss Williams, he said, quick, please accept my sincere apologies for any misunderstanding. Let me show you all the features of the E-Class properly. He reached for a brochure, but his hands were shaking slightly. We can discuss financing options, or if you prefer to make a cash purchase first. Dorothy interrupted, still recording. I'd like you to explain why you assumed I couldn't afford this car. Then I'd like you to explain why you suggested a lower price model without knowing anything about my finances. After that, we can discuss whether I still want to make a purchase here. The showroom had grown so quiet that the soft hum of the air conditioning seemed loud. More people had gathered outside, some pressing their faces against the windows. Mr. Bennett tugged at his tie again, feeling the weight of all the eyes on him. Dorothy stood patiently, her phone steady in her hand, waiting for answers. She had spent decades teaching young minds about numbers, probability, and logic. Now she was teaching a different kind of lesson, one about dignity, respect, and the danger of making assumptions. And like all good teachers, she was prepared to wait until her students showed real understanding. The tension in the showroom reached a new level when Derry's phone suddenly rang, its cheerful tune cutting through the silence. She glanced at the screen and smiled. It was her son, Jamie Williams Jr., returning her earlier text message. Perfect timing, just as she had planned. Excuse me, Mr. Bennett, Dolores said calmly, but I need to take this call. It's my son, the civil rights attorney I mentioned earlier. She pressed the speaker button, making sure her phone's recording was still running. To hello, Jamie, you're on speakerphone. Dear Mom, is everything okay? I just saw your text about the dealership. Jamie's deep professional voice filled the showroom. Several heads turned at the sound of it. His reputation in the city was well known. Do you need me to come down there? Mr. Bennett's face turned an even paler shade. He quickly stepped forward, hands raised. Miss Williams, surely there's no need to involve your son. I'm happy to offer you our best price on the E-Class right now. In fact, I can even throw in some extras at no cost. Dorothy held up one hand to stop him, then spoke into the phone. Jamie, I've been here for almost an hour now. When I first arrived, no one would help me. Then a young salesman suggested I was lost and needed directions. When I explained I wanted to buy the E-Class, he told me to come back with my family because he was too busy in an almost empty showroom. She looked directly at Mr. Bennett as she continued, then the manager here, Mr. Bennett, suggested I might prefer a cheaper model without even asking about my budget or looking at my financial documents. The young woman who had recognized Dolores earlier stepped forward. I got most of it on video, Mr. Williams, she called out. I'm Sending it to the news station right now. I work there is an intern. Jamie's voice grew stern. I see Mom, I'm on my way. Don't sign anything until I get there, Mr. Bennett. I suggest you don't try to handle this situation alone. You might want to call your corporate office. Through the showroom windows, Dolores could see more people gathering. Someone had posted about the situation on social media and word was spreading quickly. A few people held up their phones, recording through the glass. Among them, Darth recognized several former students and their parents. Mr. Bennett's hands were shaking as he pulled out his own phone. Miss Williams, please, let's resolve this professionally. I'm deeply sorry for how you were treated. What can we do to make this right? Dorothy looked around the showroom at all the faces watching her. She saw the young salespeople who needed to learn this lesson early in their careers. She saw her former students' daughters still recording everything. She saw the mixture of shame and fear on Mr. Bennett's face. This was a teachable moment, just like the thousands she had used in her classroom over the years. Mr. Bennett, she said clearly, making sure her phone picked up every word. What happened here today isn't just about me buying a car. It's about how you and your staff make assumptions about people based on their age and race. It's about the customers who came before me who might have been too hurt or afraid to speak up. It's about the customers who might come after me. Jamie's voice came through the speaker again. I'm 10 minutes away, Mom. The local news van is right behind me. Mr. Bennett was now on his own phone, speaking quietly but urgently to someone. Other employees had gathered in small groups, whispering among themselves. Brad, the original salesman, was nowhere to be seen. Dorothy stood tall, her pearls gleaming under the showroom lights. She thought about all her years of teaching, but showing her students that standing up for yourself didn't mean losing your dignity. She thought about the day she first walked into an all-white school as one of its first black teachers, holding her head high to spike the stares and whispers. Now then,